Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Moose, Brian, and Ken here at OccupyFantasy.com, at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, I'm at the bottom right of your screen at CFB_Moose on Twitter. I'm going to be the host for your show tonight. At the top right of your screen, we have Brian at BrianJesterFF on Twitter. How are you tonight, man?
So most been doing good. Just watching a little bit of hockey, tilting over some GeoGuessr. You know, your typical action-packed Thursday night.
Nice. Yeah, I actually got also a semi-bad beat with an NBA tonight. I had Charlotte -4, and of course they fouled and ended up only winning by 3. But oh well. Back to the GeoGuessr after this, I guess. And then at the left of your screen, we have the Swag Lord himself at SwagLord Ken on Twitter. How are you tonight, man?
How's it going, guys? Not too bad. I'll complete the trifecta. I've been watching some college basketball all day.
Nice.
And we've been sweating over that. So, yeah, I guess back to GeoGuessr after for me as well.
Ken, who's your college basketball team? Do you have one?
No, I don't have one. I guess the one that makes me most money. So hopefully this year, maybe Michigan. That's my pick.
Okay. Nice.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll have some March Madness stuff here, maybe with Waleed, something like we did last year, minus the whole cancellation due to COVID. But that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about some League of Legends tonight for DraftKings and FanDuel. The LOL Daily Plug is up for the March 12th slate, which is starts in the middle of the morning. You can check it out at OccupyFantasy.com. Nightbot should be saying something pretty soon with the link into that here. But Ken, you're the writer of the plug. I'll ask this to you. How do you feel about the slate? Do you like the slate? Is it different than other slates, or what's your take on it?
I think the slate tonight is it's actually pretty good. It's also different for a change since there's like one huge favorite, and then there's 3 matches where no one's even more than -200. So we actually have 3 true coin flip matches. And the FPX tonight is -1500 or something like that. So I think a major decision tonight is you have to decide what you want to do with them, because since they're such a huge favorite and there aren't really any others on slate, I mean, you really have to go, I think, all in on FPX or just fade them completely even.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. We haven't really had a slate like this in a while. Brian, I'll ask you this question. With FPX being so popular, you're assuming everyone's just going to jam them in. And do you think that makes some of these underdogs that are cheaper price going to be more owned than the favorites in that game?
Yeah, I think we will see that in some cases. Especially, I think the ES game will see that the most, just because they do have the highest kill total of the underdogs. And this type of slate really showcases why different strategies are needed for different contest types. Like for me, in the 3-3-3, the Triumphant Warrior is a much different contest than a really small satellite versus the big GPPs if you're maxing or if you're playing the Nexus on FanDuel. It really differs. Because if I was maxing the big GPP, if it was worth it, I wouldn't play a ton of FPX. I would play for outlier occurrences. But for these smaller contests, 20 to 100 player leagues, I mean, it's really tough for FPX to fail. Obviously, they could lose. But the fact of how the pricing is, and the fact that there are some underdogs with cheaper prices, if one of the underdogs wins, right, and FPX wins, that's an easy path to the optimal lineup. So. Ken, I think you and I were talking earlier, right? And I think we determined that if all favorites win tonight, it's roughly a 20% chance that happens.
Yeah, it's not even 20% chance combined. So it's very likely that we do see an underdog winning, which is why you have to consider that when you make your FPX decision on what you want to do with it.
Yeah, and just to cut off real quick. Nightbot came in the channel, instantly guns blazing, already banned Notum. So I'm going to go ahead on the back end and unban him, so if I can find out how to even do that. So Brian, if you want to take it here for a second.
Just want to say, Nightbot has just been fiending to block somebody. We haven't been on Twitch in a while, and so we brought Nightbot over to YouTube Nightbot is just like an automated moderator that puts links and makes sure no one's doing stupid stuff in the chat. And Notem probably not doing anything stupid, but Nightbot was not having it. So we'll get you back here in a second, Notem. Ken, I'm looking here at the line moves tonight. LGD got a bit of a bump, and it looks like they're no longer the smallest favorite on the slate. That honor now belongs to KT. The total's up. The kill total's up 1 kill from 24.5 earlier today to 25.5. Are we still on this? We haven't talked about this in a while, but are we still on the same page as these line moves don't mean as much for us making decisions? We just know that they'll impact projections and what other people will do that much more.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought this was actually a good line move if you're actually looking towards FPX today, because with the E-Star and LGD, the thing I like more is that total bump. So that tells us that now we'll know that E-Star and LGD, they've got good projections. Even yesterday, LCK has caught up. Funnily enough, in kill totals, where I've been saying they're not high enough, but now we've seen that they've kind of caught up a little bit. So the total bump actually is very important because they do drive projections. So E-Star and LGD, their projections are strong. They're gonna be popular. So for this slate, it's actually kind of cool because we can still kind of take advantage of the LCK. Because they're still 23.5. DRX, KT, NS, LSB, all those teams will go relatively under-owned to where they should be. So I thought it was a very good line move if you're trying to employ a strategy with leverage tonight.
Cool. All right, I'm just going to hop back in. Apparently, Nightbot overrules me, and I can't untime out.
It's sentient now. It
has
its own mind.
Yeah, so sorry, Notem, you're timed out for, what is that? 600 seconds. So GG, Notem. So all right, so we're back in. Brian, I know you kind of alluded to it earlier. You said your strategy is going to be a lot different. Without giving away your secret sauce for these big the 3-3-3 that you're playing, what's your first overall feel on FPX? Are you playing a team like that, or how are you handling it?
Believe me, I want to fade the chalk as much as I can whenever possible, right? That's always my goal. But there are some cases where it doesn't make sense, and the path to the chalk failing isn't as high as their ownership should be. And I feel like that's the case tonight with FPX, because they're essentially 95% chance to win, which recently means they're probably like a coin flip. But assuming that the odds are right and they have a 90% plus chance to win, it's really tough. If there was an all favorite slate and a bunch of teams are minus 300, minus 400, sure, I would drop down to the smaller favorites and try to get a more optimal lineup construction. But here, I'm just trying to think of, all right, what's the field going to do? They're going to play FPX, but how are they going to play FPX? And just thinking about what that next step is beyond that for the leverage, because I am going to play them. I really am going to play them.
Yeah, absolutely. And all right, thank you, Qualkais, for joining the YouTube membership, I guess is what it's called. So he gets the Discord access. Anyone else here that's listening, you can do join our YouTube membership, gain access to our Discord. Thank you, Qualkais, and you get the little badge, and you get access to the emotes that we had from Twitch. So awesome on that. Cool. I just wanted to flip that in real quick. But yeah, Brian, that you make perfect sense on there. I hate fading the chalk, but sometimes you have to do it. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, sometimes you do, sometimes. And again, believe me, I'm gonna look for every reason to fade them. But if one thing goes wrong here, the chalk is gonna hit, right? If just one underdog wins, it makes it that much more likely that FPX is in the optimal lineup. So when the dogs are this short, it lends itself to playing a more chalk heavy approach. You can always get different. That's why we have the strategy guide. That's why Ken wrote about some of the different lineup construction tips for tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. And so real quick, I do want to bring you in on here, Ken. There's some people that we have in red that indicate potential scratches or mid-series substitutions that should be only played in high-risk contests. I know we get the LPL lineup, so that necessarily won't be any trouble. But what about the people from this KT LSB game? Dove and Crocodile. Are we? What's your thoughts on those people?
Yeah, KT's mid Dove is it's interesting because they've got both mid laners in UCal and Dove, and just recently they've been like starting each other back and forth. So it's hard to say. Like I really do feel like it's a coin flip, but if you are willing to stay up, it actually, we will know lineups before lock, but we've also seen them sub mid series. So I mean, if you're playing KT tonight, it's tough to fade a mid on like any team that you're looking to stack, right? So like if you're gonna play KT tonight, they're gonna be low owned. If you can be around for lineups, that would be awesome, and actually play that starting mid laner. But it's like probably something I would avoid if you're making just one lineup, or if you're just probably maybe avoid KT in general there. And then for LSB, we've seen the Croc play these last two series, but On Fleek did play the two series before. And I mean, they're not a good team, so we can't really tell what they'll do. Like, they don't win or lose. They just lose, really. So, I mean, I guess we could see On Fleek. It's I think Croco plays and starts, but like lineups will be before lock, so we'll know them too. But just be careful if you're looking to play those guys.
Hey, Ken, real quick, has the ship sailed on our T1 edge, our SKT edge? For those who've been around, we had just, and it's not inside information, it's just scarce information. When T1 was on the slate, they have a 10-man roster switching up their lineups. It seems like that information is getting more public. Obviously, they're not on the slate tonight, doesn't apply to this slate, but did we miss our window to smash a massive edge?
I think we didn't, because like it's still there. The last slate they were on, the lineup actually became super public. So they weren't in the first game, so we wouldn't know like confirmed starting lineups. But like T1 fans are like rabid, man. So they keep track of these guys. It's crazy. So last slate actually a lineup got posted, and it like they've been pretty accurate with who's scrimming. So it got posted on Reddit, and I don't know what the Venn diagram of players who play DFS and go on Reddit every day, League of Legends Reddit is that. So like we still didn't see them at much ownership. I'm not sure if they do play in kind of like lower kill total games, so like they wouldn't see normally as much ownership, but they still get respect. Like they were minus 200 and you're still getting them at 5 to 10%. So I think the edge is still there, but I'm not sure if that's because we don't know lineups, or if that's just because how their profile is.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah, kill totals, and then also that. I mean, it sucks. But it's funny because T1 fans are like, they're like Cowboy fans. Like, you even screw up a little, and like they got guys on the internet coming for their head. And if you want a good laugh, just read through like the Twitter comments after T1 posts a starting lineup, because it's insane. It's like everybody's got their own opinion on who should play.
Dude, it's never ending. Like if you're like trying to scour Twitter for lineups and you read, it's just non-stop mentions. I would not want to run the T1 Twitter account. It's unbelievable.
No, they probably just have everyone blocked and just say no. I can't even read any feeds. So
everything's muted. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. So we're gonna be here for about 15 more minutes or so. Let's talk about some lineups constructions. I know we talked about Ken. I know we talked about Brian mentioned some a little bit earlier, but I'll kick it back over to you. We have FPX in their own ownership tier as the highest owned, and it kind of drops off significantly from there. So how are we kind of building lineups tonight? I guess we can start it off with you see on screen here for low risk, and I guess you can kick it off to high risk if you want.
Yeah, I'll start with a bit on low risk. It's not a great low risk night because FPX, there's not really another favorite to go with them. So like the second largest favorite is only really minus 170. But if you do play low risk, like I would build around DRX, the minus 170 favorite, and FPX. Or if you feel strongly about another team, definitely pair them up with FPX tonight in low risk contests. And then just quickly onto high risk contests. I think a main thing tonight is like you want your lineups to make sense. Mm-hmm. So if you're actually going 0% FPX, Like don't play the underdogs, play the other favorites, right? Like you want to take advantage of DRX and KT and even LGD, because these guys, they're really difficult to pair up with FPX. So what we'll see tonight is we'll get FPX with stacked with underdogs, and they'll use mid or ADCs because they're cheap. Or we'll get, top support captains FPX stacked with another favorite. So if you're gonna not use FPX, like look towards the DRX, the KTs, and look towards their ADC captain. Like use their ADC captains for your lineups to make sense. And then if you are playing FPX, obviously, here we don't like the top support captains. It's just not something you want to do like long term for League of Legends. So FPX, if you're gonna play them with underdogs, and and play them a lot. Like they're gonna be 50%. There's no use in rostering them in half your lineups tonight, at least in my opinion. So I'd say play FPX, play them with the underdogs, and like use them a lot if you're gonna use FPX tonight.
Yeah, you pretty much hit that on spot. And Brian, I kind of wrap you in here. Is you don't have to you can get cute, but you don't have to get too cute where you don't have to create bad lineups with bad teams.
No, definitely not. And Ken, I did want to ask you, and you bring up a good point. The ownership overall may be pretty flat after FPX, right? FPX is going to see a ton of ownership, and after that, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised which underdog gets the most ownership, however it shakes out. The next best favorites might get some ownership as well. But we will see a big difference in the captain ownership on both sites, especially DraftKings, right? Because I honestly think we'll see, and tell me if I'm wrong here, but we'll see the ADCs and mids of the underdogs for, NS, LSB, and ES, right? Get the teams right. And ES. Their ADCs and mids will probably have more captain ownership than those of the favorites, LGD, KT, and DRX, just because of the salaries, right?
Yeah, like 100% agree on that, because it's just like everyone's gonna want to play FPX. Like I get it, it's natural. I really want to too. So obviously we know that ADCs, they score the most, and you can't pair up together LGD's ADC with FPX. Like you can't use both ADCs. You can't use a DRX ADC with FPX. So that is true, where we will see underdogs, ADCs, and mids have way more captain. Like, it's gonna be like way more. Like nobody's gonna be rostering LGD's ADC at captain. Like very few people are. So there may be leverage there if you're, I guess, interested in that.
Cool,
yeah, that's probably the one route if you're not playing FPX, right? And it alluded to what you said to earlier. Like if you're not gonna play FPX, play the other favorites, because we're gonna get a minus 160 favorite, a minus 155 favorite, and a minus 155 favorite ADCs each at like 5% or less captain ownership, which is crazy for large field contests.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely agree with you there. Cool. And then I'm just going to show here, I'm scrolling here on screen on the daily plug, just some strategies that Ken wrote up for the different contest sizes tonight for 100 player fields, 500, 1,000, and 3,000 player fields as well, and different lineup strategies on how to do that there. Brian, I'll kick it back to you. We got 10 minutes left or so. How should we take it from here? What do you want to talk about next?
I do just want to say, so Ken does a great job. He does write the plug for every 4+ game slate for DraftKings, LPL plus LCK. That's at occupyfantasy.com, what you see on screen here for members only. And it's, I mean, one of our better daily plugs. It's a great roadmap for every single slate. It takes a lot of game theory into account. We're not in the business of predicting winners in most sports. That case applies here for League of Legends as well. Ken, I guess I'll ask you for a high risk contest. Let's say you're playing the big GBPs, you're playing the Nexus on FanDuel. I guess one, how would your strategy differ, if at all, for FanDuel tonight? And two, for the bigger contest with 500+ people, are you playing? Would you play any double underdog lineups?
Yeah, I'll start with your second question first. I'll start with what to do with FPX. So I think we can actually compare it similar to NFL Showdown with the quarterback, where if you've been following Occupy's NFL, like let's say we have a Lamar Jackson. Like, we should probably look to captain him or MVP him in our small field contest. Just go 100% and just figure it out elsewhere. So I think that's what you should do with FPX in the small field. And the larger field you get, it becomes like way like exponentially tougher to win with an FPX lineup in these large field contests, in these bigger GPPs. So I think the more entries you get, like the more you should start considering about just fading FPX completely and going 0%. And then bringing in the big GPP, like, should you play double underdogs? Like, tonight's probably not the night for it, because if an underdog's gonna win and FPX very likely gonna win, like, there's a good chance we see FPX with another underdog. So if you're playing double underdogs, it actually becomes even tougher. Like, it's gonna be so hard for you to win a big GPP tonight. So that's why, like, it makes way more sense to go LGD, DRX, or KT. So one of the other favorites tonight, and then pair them up with an underdog and just, I guess pray that FPX doesn't score as well tonight. So it makes sense to go one favorite and one underdog way more than it does to go two underdogs tonight. And just on FanDuel, I wrote something at the bottom, but you should go 100% FPX. Like, if they're 50 or 60% tonight on FanDuel, it's like 40% too short, because there's no salary multiplier. Like, I mean, you can get ADC captains. FanDuel's pricing is like so weird. Where like if you find the right edges, I know eStar's top laner is like maybe the most cheapest top laner on the slate. Like, if he's not, he's probably second cheapest. So if you find these guys, like, there are guys in certain roles on FanDuel that are priced down. Like, LSB's ADC is only 8,700 compared to where you usually see ADCs in the 9,000s. So definitely go 100% FPX. I mean, whatever they'll be, it'll be too short. Take advantage of that and just use unique roster constructions on FanDuel. So they do force you to use 3 teams, go 4-2-1s. If you're using 4 FPX, maybe consider using 2 underdog teams. Maybe consider, using your one-offs somewhere else besides teams. So maybe even like mid, jungle, or top or something like that. Just get unique with the FPX, but I for sure wouldn't fade FPX on FanDuel.
Yeah, as you point here in the plug, how pricing works, don't get cute and go 100% FPX tonight. Use unique roster constructions, like using one-off that isn't the team slot. Brian, I'll kick it back to you for this. What is the best one-off spot to use outside of the team?
So team is a great it's a great low risk approach, just because a lot of people are going to do that, and it does make the game a little more interesting, just because you do have to pick 3 teams. But because most people do flock to the team spot for their one-off, right? They'll 4-2 stack the main positions and then get a team in there in their last spot. But yeah, so top and jungler are probably up there. But then if you're thinking, and again, the contests aren't as big anymore on FanDuel as they were last summer, so you don't necessarily have to do this. But no one's really one-offing a mid or an ADC. And it doesn't make a lot of sense if you think about it. So that's truly a unique approach, and maybe that's something you do tonight if FPX is going to be that popular. But if you just do top jungler, maybe support as your one-off, that's probably enough. And Ken, you've been playing FanDuel, so I don't know if you have any different opinions.
Yeah, I would agree. I actually do use one-off ADCs, so it'd be like 4 main guys and then a team and a top, and then you would one-off ADC. So I find that works. Unique percentage was actually really good when I played FanDuel. So I mean, one-offing ADC, consider one-offing mids. I think in the end, it's correlated, because like if your top laner scores well, like it's really rare that the team sucks, like that the team just loses. Like in the end, League of Legends, it's a zero-sum game. Like 18 kills is 18 deaths. So if one role scores well, it's very likely that another scores well. So I don't think you actually hurt yourself by one-offing a weird role like a mid or ADC.
Yeah,
interesting.
Very interesting. Notum is out of jail, so Notum put his emoji and he gave his apology to Nightbot.
Hashtag free Notum.
Yeah. Nightbot comes on the channel the very first time and just goes hammer. So
Iron Fist.
There we go. Cool. So we have about 5 minutes left here. Ken, is there anything else? I know we have some satellites here. Not as much as other sports, but I mean there is the $15 season opener, the Sunday night showdown, and this wild card $100 spring frenzy. What kind of satellites are you playing? How have you been doing well? Have you been doing well in those? Just chopping it up with you.
Yeah, I mean, I love the satellites. It's really, I think it's a great part of Occupy Fantasy, and I know like last year I was really grinding these satellites, and I'm still definitely playing them now. We had the big League of Legends contest that didn't go as well as I hoped, but it was still awesome to get satellites for that. In other sports, I'm definitely playing satellites, so they've kind of slowed down, but I definitely am racking up the MLB opener satellites because we're gonna have awesome content. So I'm definitely looking to rack up those. Like I said on one of our last streams, I mean NBA Showdown satellites, like insane overlay, and I won a couple tennis tickets, so that didn't go as well because I am definitely not a great tennis DFS player. So I mean,
there's also like 600 tennis players on a slate too.
Yeah, it was just like I'm not even sure how you're supposed to win. Like I think you just get really lucky and pick six guys who win 2-0, right? So I'm not sure what tennis DFS what the code is there, but I mean.
You know who
I got the ticket right.
You know who you should ask? You should ask Garrett because he plays tennis DFS. He does not awful on it.
Which is a good indictment. If you're not awful at tennis DFS, you're probably good. So, and you know, speaking of the satellite strategy, for those who didn't see it, our NBA writer Boyle, I think he got the maximum number of entries last night and finished 5th. $7,500 payday for him over on FanDuel.
Wow.
I mean, and I say this every time, and I'm not gassing them up, but Garrett and Boyle are probably the best DFS players playing the Occupy way on staff. Like they play the satellite strategies, they keep track of their winning. They don't stray from contest types that they're not profitable in. If you follow us, if you read the Ultimate Guide, like those two specifically, and everyone else on the staff does a great job too, but I really like to call them out because one, they have like a 100% success rate on their tickets, which is
they're so good,
mind-boggling. But they're really, really good at following the ticket strategy that we outline. And so if you have questions, I would always hit them up. They're happy to answer them. They're really, really good at it. Yeah,
it's absolutely nuts, and it always seems to suck because it seems like the big NBA contests are always on like 2-game slates, and then you have to try and get tricky, and they still crush it. So I don't know how they do it. I guess we got to pick their brains once they get some extra free time. What to bring Boyle on?
Yeah, I know he has a running tally, and I want to make this public. But he has like a running tally of every satellite he's entered and what his ROI is, just to kind of really hit home a case study of using the satellite strategy. So we'll definitely get that. If you guys are interested in that, let us know.
Absolutely. I know I'm interested. I'm going to ask him right as soon as we get off this stream. Cool. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it back over to you, Ken, for any last final thoughts before I take us out of here.
Yeah. Just to add on, I mean, those guys crush it. I write the League of Legends, and it's annoying to find lineups, so I can't imagine what the NBA guys are up to. And like I mean, I read the daily plug, and it's just injury news, and I couldn't imagine. So those guys definitely are crushing it. And NBA is not easy. Like it, like the sport in general, like lots of news to deal with, and then you got to be around before lock. So that's awesome. Tonight, League of Legends, it's I think FPX or not, so 100 or 0 is the move tonight. I do lean towards 100 in smaller field contests, but if you are in the larger field, I would say actually consider 0 FPX tonight. Other than that, not much. It's been up and down lately with League of Legends. Like hopefully some nights we get some crazy variants and then we crush it, but I guess that's what DFS is all about. So yeah, Brian or Moose, if you guys have any other thoughts.
I'll finish by saying this is the second stream in a week that we've got a thumbs down on the video. So whoever thumbs down, show yourself in the chat, you coward.
It was Nightbot.
We probably it probably was Nightbot.
Yeah.
Either way, we appreciate the interaction. Helps our YouTube algorithm. So thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and if you don't like it, let us know why. We're always here to, again, we do these shows for you all. So if you say, hey, I want more X, Y, and Z, then yeah, we'll give you more X, Y, and Z. So yeah, if there's something else that you would like to see in these streams, definitely go ahead and ask, as long as it's not copyrighted music, because YouTube does not like that. Yeah, so that'll pretty much wrap it up, guys and gals that are here. I'm glad Notam's out of jail. But until next time, Brian, I think, Brian, you and I are doing a UFC stream tomorrow or something like that. But yeah, just hit the follow, the like, subscribe, and bell notification to be notified of when we upload any new videos. And again, you can hit the join button to join our Discord. Until next time, though, Moose, Brian, and Ken, have a good night.